YouTube, what's going on? Northeast Ohio here for our little week in review, or week that was in the wonderful world of this sports card market, hobby, investor, collector shenanigans, whatever you want to call it. But we're here to talk about it. Those of you that watch typically weekly will notice that this one is not live. If you missed the video that I put out in the middle of this past week, I'm going to change things up just a little bit. The week that was videos will still come out on Sunday mornings, but I'm going to try doing them pre-recorded for a while like I do most of my videos. And I'm going to move the live streams to, I believe, Wednesday nights. So this Wednesday night, I'm unsure of the time yet, but it'll probably be around 6:30 p.m. I am thinking. We'll go live. I don't know for how long. It's all going to be dictated by chat, essentially. I'm going to pop on. I'll have some just general things to talk about to kind of get things started. Most likely, just whatever's been going on the last couple days. Um, but in general, what I'm looking for is just some back and forth between myself and chat, little Q&A. We could look some things up on market movers, whatever, just talk about answer any questions that you guys have. Like we normally do in the back half of the week that was videos that you guys typically see when I did them live. I would do like the newsy portion in the first 20 to 30 minutes, and then the last 20 to 40 minutes, depending on chat, would just kind of be some back and forth with chat. So I've decided to split that out to its own thing. And with the basketball season winding down, there's a lot more free time on weeknights where, um, I'm not, I don't want to say competing with, but going up against live sporting events that you guys would rather be watching. So shaking things up a little bit. We'll see how it works. Will we switch back? I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks here. So let's get into it for the week. Quite a few things to get through here. Probably a little bit more football talk than normal. We're going to touch on all three sports, at least three major sports, at least briefly. First big thing, Prizm football hobby boxes. They went up on both Blowout and Steel City this week. You could see, sorry, this item is currently out of stock on Steel City and also on Blowout. This comes out November 4th. They went up for, get ready for it if you didn't see it, $9.50 a pop for hobby boxes of Prizm football, which is insanely expensive for Prizm football. Yes, Prizm is king. It is the number one product in both basketball and football. However, you don't normally see prices like this for Prizm football. I don't remember what they sold for last year off the top of my head, but I know it was nowhere near this price. I think a lot of people that collect football that don't follow the overall sports card market very closely, that maybe didn't realize what happened with the basketball market and what's happened the last few months with the shift in the sports card market in general. If they just come in a few times a year and they just say, hey, let me grab a couple boxes of whatever the new football product is, I think they're going to get sticker shocked when they walk in this year. Also, I think that you think that the hunt for Mosaic retail product is insane. Wait till Prizm hits the store shelves in November. It's going to be even more ridiculous than it already is. Speaking of which, I have already seen more reports. We've talked about this, I feel like, the last 2 or 3 weeks in a row. But I feel like every day I see or someone messages me or whatever saying that, hey, my Walmart suddenly doesn't carry sports cards anymore. It got replaced by Halloween candy, or potato chips or Pop Tarts or whatever. And I think we are going to continue to see that. I really think these stores are fed up with, for lack of a better term, our nonsense. And when I say that speaking globally, not, I know that there's some people that don't, not everyone is in the retail game, but there's a lot of us that are, people that watch this channel that are. I've done it. We've, whatever. I'm not gonna criticize someone for how they want to either make money in this hobby or, um, you know, what their shtick is for this. We're all coming to this for something different. If you want to flip retail, but don't steal retail. Um, don't be a butthole if you waited for the vendor and there's someone behind you in line and you sweep the shelf for 70 blaster boxes of Mosaic Football and the guy behind you is like, hey, can I get like 3 of those? Toss the guy a bone. Just be nice to people is my general stake when it comes to that kind of stuff. um I know when I was hunting for Mosaic basketball one time, I was at a Target and I knew the vendor's schedule, so I knew when to be there. And another guy walked up. Actually, 2 people walked up and were like, um, hey, do you got any basketball or whatever? And the vendor's like, yeah, I should. He's like, but he was here first. And I looked at the other guy and another guy that walked up shortly thereafter, and I said, listen, I'm not going to be a prick about this. Like, I'm gonna, whatever there's in there, I'll cherry pick out a little bit what I want, but I'm not gonna leave you guys empty handed. And I think we basically went with like I don't want to say it was a straight like 33% split. I think I took maybe like 40% of the stuff, a little bit more than a third, but then I left 2/3 for them, and we kind of like evenly split it up slightly between the 3 of us, so everyone got at least something. And they were cool with that. They're like, thanks. Just be nice to people, guys. There's no need to be an ass over like 3 extra boxes of, blasters or whatever from Mosaic Football. Um, Sorry, I went a little soapboxy there for a minute. I don't mind retail flipping, but like, just don't be 2020 about it, for lack of a better. So speaking of which, let's transition from that rant into Mosaic Football. Mosaic Football has hit in mass this week. If you can actually find it, good luck. But as of the recording of this, it is selling for about 2.75x to 3x. So I pulled up blaster boxes here because they're by far the most common product out of it. They're the ones you're going to see the most of. Whenever this retail stuff comes out, mega boxes are usually always the hardest to find. Um, the supply is usually a lot more limited, and they tend to disappear really quickly. Blasters seem to be the ones that hang around the most, along with like cello packs, which I haven't really seen cello packs of Mosaic yet. I've seen blasters and a few megas, but I've mostly seen blasters. Blasters are probably the most, I don't want to say liquid because all sealed wax is liquid, but it's the most common one that you'll see when it comes to sealed product. But they're going for about $60 a piece, which is about normal. The first couple days, people were trying to charge 100. They quickly realized that wasn't going to happen, and the prices came down on them quite a bit. I've seen them for as cheap as like 50 to 55. Like if you're in some Facebook groups, I think if you put a want to buy post out, like if you really wanted them, at like, you know, $50 a pop, including goods and services, fees, and shipping, I think you could probably buy up a decent amount at that price. I don't know that I would want to do that. Mosaic's a fun product. I really liked it for basketball, and I was very critical of it when I first saw it. I'm like, these cards look a little weird. Um, but the more I opened of it, it is a fun rip. There's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of cool inserts. Um, but I don't know that I want to be dumping a bunch of money into football wax, especially Mosaic. If I was going to dump money into football wax, I would wait for Prizm, I think. Um, the Mosaic market in general has still not found itself yet. And you can see here, we're going to dive into market movers here really quickly from Sports Card Investor, their data tool. This is, we've talked about this chart a bunch of times before. This is the price movements by card chart. And I have this filtered by sport and by set. So most of the charts and market movers, you could do a bunch of different stuff with to manipulate them to get just the information that you want. So right now we are just looking at Mosaic Football singles, and we've looked at this chart the last couple weeks across a few different videos, and you could see that it is mostly still all red except for Justin Herbert. And if I scroll down here, you'll see Russell Wilson's stained glass is green, and once again Justin Herbert silver is green. Now this doesn't have every card on it; it just has the super popular ones. They're still working on loading the set into the system, but they threw up some of the hot names right off the get. And at this point, Herbert is the only really one going up, and that's just because his prices were relative to everybody else fairly cheap. He got the quick start last week at the last minute, played relatively well, and I have a feeling he's probably going to be the starter the rest of the year unless he gets hurt. So his prices are correcting themselves because he was priced like a prospect backup quarterback, and now all of a sudden he's starting. Um, Everything else is still pretty much in decline. I am not concerned about this. This is normal still, because the hobby boxes were out for a few weeks. There was a limited supply of singles on the market, and now retail has hit. Retail is being opened, being people are doing breaks on it more now, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot more inventory hitting the market on these cards. So the prices are starting to come down. This is what you see with pretty much every single release that happens, regardless of sport. Prices start high, they nosedive over about the course of 2 to 3 weeks. A little bit of it depends on when the retail cycle hits. And then things eventually level off, and we kind of find out like what the true prices are on this stuff. For the most part, I don't think we have found that yet. I notice on here, Tua seems to have leveled off at about $30. I don't know that that's his floor, but I think it's getting close to it. If you're a believer in Tua, now maybe this goes down a little bit more. I don't know, but I think that one seems to be getting closest because you can see the rest of these are still down. This is going back 7 days. You can see they're down anywhere from 20 to 30% or 20 to 40%, mostly in the 30s and 40% on most of these cards. Still trending down over the last 7 days or so. So eventually these will start to level out, and some will spike up. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire has another monster game, and his prices will shoot back to the moon. If Burrow continues to play well and has big games, I think his prices will level off and start to go back up again. I'm actually surprised he's still downtrending as much as he is. Even though the Bengals have lost both their games, he's played extremely well. So it is what it is. But Mosaic is still trying to find its foothold. Um, Speaking of the price movement by card chart, one of the other things I like to do on occasion is you could just sort this by sport and change nothing else. And then I like to sort it by sales volume. And these are only the cards on Market Movers. So this is not every single card in the world, but Market Movers has most of the extremely popular cards. And what I like to do is sort it by number of sales over a given time period. Once again, we're looking at the last 7 days, just to kind of get a feel for, what names are really moving in the market. Now, some of this is obvious. The least shocking thing ever is that Justin Herbert's at the top of this list. And then when you scroll down, you see it's a bunch of Mosaic product. Also, not that surprising. But you can see a lot of the football stuff is still trending down, besides a few of the obvious ones. Um, Kyler is still in the green. Calvin Ridley, and we're going to talk about some of these guys individually. Calvin Ridley's in the green. If I scroll down, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson's been a big popular one. Aaron Jones, the last week or so, of guys that have kind of breakout performances or starting to find their real value. Russell Wilson's kind of one of those classic, always underrated guys, and we'll look at his individual card chart here in a minute. But most of this list is still dominated by Mosaic, which makes sense because it just released and people are opening it and flipping the singles, etc., and people buying. The thing I found interesting was of the non-Mosaic stuff, Josh Jacobs is actually the number one number of sales volume players of non-Mosaic or non 2020, shall we say? Because there's some Don Russ in here as well. Because Don Russ Football has also kind of hit the last few weeks, so there's a lot of just based on Russ paper mixed in here. But of the non 2020 guys, it's Josh Jacobs and DK Metcalf is the two guys that are up towards the top of the chart, which I just found kind of interesting. That just seems like two really random names. I thought Kyler would be a lot higher, but a lot of people may be holding his stuff as well. Um, and then kind of hopping over, the other thing I like to look at here is the number of sales just to see how active the individual markets are of each sport. So you could see Herbert has 259 transactions on his Mosaic Football, and Burrow has 245 on his based on Russ. If we look over here at basketball, Tyler Hero, least shocking thing ever, this is his base Prizm Raw, is number one at 564. And in fact, he's number one across all three sports. Now, the thing that you notice is after Tyler Hero, this falls off a cliff. And it drops all the way down the 129 for Morant Luminance. And that's just the one of him not actually landing a dunk over Kevin Love. And then it goes Kobe Bryant, LeBron base Prizm, Luca base Prizm, Tyler Hero. But you could see the transaction volume in basketball has really cooled. And this kind of goes back to that last video I made where the basketball market has kind of flattened off. Most people right now, unless it's a hot name like Tyler Hero or the guys still playing, aren't selling their basketball stuff. You know, if you have Luca right now, unless you need the money, there's really no reason to sell Luca because odds are his stuff's going to go up before next season starts, and you could roll that out to any number of players. That's part of the reason why the market has kind of flattened out because there's just not a lot of these cards going up for sale like there was a couple months ago. So there's less supply on the market, and the demand also is not as high as it used to be. So the prices are starting to flatten out. But it's just interesting. This is one of the lowest volume basketball charts I've seen in a while, where it drops off this quick. And you could see football is definitely the hotness right now in terms of the sports card market. A lot of that is being driven by the fact that there is recently a new release with Mosaic and Don Russ Football. A lot of the cards at the top of this chart are those from those two sets because the product's just released. And then we're not going to spend a lot of time talking baseball. I just was quickly wanted to look at the chart for them. You can see even the baseball market is pretty close in terms of number of sales with the top of the basketball market, not counting Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is kind of the exception to all these rules. But the baseball market is really flat / trending down right now. And I don't follow the baseball market as close as basketball and football. But I mean, you could see Luis Robert, he is cooled way off. He's only batting like 235, 240 right now. His card prices have came way down. You scroll down the list here and it's a lot of red. Now it's not big numbers, 2%, 6%, 5% going down. Robert is the biggest one pulling back right now because he really cooled off from the point that he was. Only a few guys on the top of this chart are really trending up. And I know baseball season's winding down, so that probably has a lot to do with it as they're getting ready to move into their weird expanded playoffs with half bubbles and whatever the hell baseball is doing. Soto's the intriguing one here. His prices have really gone on a roller coaster this year. He was at about 200 before the season started. He had a hell of a week. His prices popped all the way out to almost 300. They've pulled back down to 200 and kind of flattened out. I will tell you right now, I don't follow the baseball market closely, but during the off season, when their stuff starts to cool off, Soto will be one of the main guys I will be looking to increase my inventory in. I already have some of his stuff that I got before his big price hike. His numbers are absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And even though they're not going to make the playoffs, you can see his prices are slightly creeping into the green. He's getting some MVP buzz, but I don't know that he's going to get it. He probably deserves it, but their team sucks. And then you can see Acuna's going up, which, he's extremely trendy. But as you scroll through this list, it's a lot of red on the baseball stuff. Jeter going up slightly. But it's just a lot of red. Eloy Jimenez is one that's been creeping up. He's been super trendy lately, starting to steal some of the buzz from Lou Bob. But yeah, the baseball market is definitely in a downswing, which is a little weird because their playoffs are getting ready to start. But the baseball market's kind of a weird beast to begin with. So, all right, let's talk about a couple individual cards really quick, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Um, I wanted to go back and look at Saquon again. We touched on him on Tuesday's week 2 recap video, but I wanted to see if he has started to level out yet. Um, and I don't know that he has. But yes, it looks like Saquon has not quite leveled off yet. Um, he dropped down to from a high. He was all the way up to 350. This is for PSA 10 base Prizm. He dropped down very quickly to just under 200. Kind of stayed there for 2 days and then blew right through that and is all the way down to 160 now. And his PSA 10 price has really taken a beating. Raw has not gone down as much. If we look at this over the last 7, you could see PSA 10's down 50% and Raw's only down 20%. I would expect this to catch up and also go down. I don't know where this would need to get to before I would consider buying in. And I actually don't know that it's going to get to a number that I would consider buying in. Maybe Raw if Raw got cheap enough. But I listened to some podcasts this week, and that knee injury sounds more serious than just the torn ACL. I believe he has to wait almost a month to even have surgery on the ACL because there was other damage that was done that they have to wait for swelling to go down and whatnot before they could even go in and fix the ACL. I don't think there's a guarantee that he is back and ready for the start of next season. He's probably a candidate to start out on IR or PUP. Originally, my thought process was when the injury first happened is maybe his stuff gets cheap enough you could buy it up and then sell it in the hype leading up to next season. But if all the news reports on him are talking about like, we don't know if he's going to be ready, he's going to be limited, that's not what you want to see when you're trying to sell someone's cards in the hype portion of late summer during the NFL. So I think I was pretty much off him to begin with, but I don't think there's any way I'm touching Saquon's cards. They would have to get ridiculously cheap before I would even consider it. And I don't think they'll get to that level. Someone else will want to take the risk more than I am. Um, but yeah, the Saquon market continues to go down. I will keep tracking this to see where his prices end up at. On the opposite side, guys going nuts. Calvin Ridley. He is I believe, at least by ESPN standards, the number 1 ranked fantasy football wide receiver right now in terms of points scored. And this is over the last 7 days. He has gone up 100%. He started the week off at $12 and is up to $24. And if you want to talk about low pop counts, I looked for PSA 10s of him. This is just his base raw Prizm. I think there's like under 50 PSA 10 Prizms of his rookie card. People just didn't grade wide receivers for rookie cards prior to this year. Wide receivers were kind of an afterthought in general. They would, sell for a little bit, but nothing crazy. And, Calvin Ridley wasn't necessarily a big name. He was trendy in fantasy circles, but so yeah, his stuff's been going crazy because he's been playing well. And, there's Julio Jones is a little dinged up. So Ridley's getting more and more of the target share there. Also going up in football, good old Russell Wilson. This is his Topps Chrome 2012. Once again, pretty low pop count card. You could see over the last 7 days, he's up 35%. He has been playing out of his mind and is probably one of the front running candidates to win the MVP trophy. They look pretty good, and he has opened up this season with a much more aggressive passing attack than we're used to seeing out of the Seahawks. And he's just playing absolutely great. I continue to see his prices going up as he gets more and more MVP buzz, and if they keep ripping off wins. Fairly obvious one here. We're going to switch over to basketball real quick before we get out of here. Tyler Hero, least shocking thing ever. He went nuts. His prices went nuts. His base PSA 10 Prizm went from starting the week off at 325 is all the way up to 450 now. Everything Tyler Hero is up across the board. Um, I have over the last couple weeks sold off a lot of my Tyler Hero stuff. Some of it I sold too early. Some of it I think I timed just right. I sold off a lot. I had 16 Tyler Hero Mosaic base NBA debuts, which is not even like his true rookie card. Um, I had a lot of 16 of those. I sold on eBay for like 150. That's almost $10 a piece for a card that was 99 cents to $1.50, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Um, I had some Tyler Hero Prisms. I sold them off right before this bump up. But I'm fine with it. My best Tyler Hero looking Prisms I sent off for grading. So those are sitting at PSA. These are ones that were probably PSA 9s, I think. I sold them off for around, I think I got about $40 a piece for him, maybe $35 a piece for him. But his stuff's continued to go crazy. But if I had Tyler Hero, if you had a large supply, I would definitely not be afraid to sell some of it. Um, he looks great. He's going to get a ton of buzz. But I mean, there's a 25% chance this is the highest his cards ever are. Maybe now and maybe right before the build up to next season. But if he comes out next season and he's just average or whatever, his prices are going to go down. Um, but maybe there's a chance that he's the next Luca or something. He's the best guy out of this draft class. Who the hell knows? But that being said, if I had 5 Tyler Hero base prisms, I'd sell 2 of them now without hesitation. You probably got them way cheaper than what they're going for now. You get a really nice return on them. Lock that in, and then send your best couple off the grading or stash them in a box and hold on to them. But if you have a position in these guys, don't be afraid to take the profits while the market is hot for them. Um, you don't know what's going to happen with these guys. Look at different sports, but look at Saquon. His prices were going crazy in the lead up to the season, and people were like, "Oh, there's no. Why would I sell now? He's getting ready to start playing. His prices are going to go even more crazy." And then he gets hurt, and then the market crashes on it. That can happen to any of these guys. These aren't stocks. Amazon doesn't tear its ACL. So just always keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to lock in a profit when these guys get way up there in price. Now, the last one we're going to talk about, and this is a one that has me a little baffled. Um, it's LeBron's base 2019 Prism. Now, this card was way too expensive for what it is. And maybe that's still the market just realizing that this card was drastically overpriced. For just being a 2019 base Prism, and the only reason it got hype was because it was his first Prism in Lakers jersey. I still think this card has value if they win the NBA championship. Now, maybe it's appropriately priced now, but over the last 7 days, this card's actually down 30%, and the Lakers are on the verge of moving on the next season or to the NBA Finals. Now, they're up 3-1 on the Nuggets. Who the hell knows what that means? Do the Nuggets have them right where they want them? Because that's what they've done this entire playoffs. But the Lakers look good, and LeBron has been playing great. So I just find it weird that this card continues to trend down as they are about to advance to the NBA Finals. Maybe it's just because there's so many of them out there. People are looking to dump them before they get to the finals in case they lose. I don't know. I truly do not know what is going on with this card. But would I go right out and buy it? No. I still have some LeBron stuff. I've sold off a decent portion of it over this last couple weeks. And when I say LeBron stuff, I'm talking about like Lakers jersey stuff. I had a bunch of it set aside to slowly move as the playoffs went along, just in case they got eliminated. I didn't want to get left holding the bag saying, I got to wait till the NBA Finals. And that's turned out pretty okay because his prices have kind of really fluctuated since the market pulled back in mid August. Um, I still have a couple LeBron base prisms. I didn't have a lot to begin with. I have a couple other little like inserts and stuff like that. that I'd like to move, and some Mosaic and whatnot, but nothing too crazy. I have a couple SGC slabs of stuff, but um, I'll be curious to see what the LeBron market does once they are officially locked into the finals, and then if they come out and they jump out to a 2-0 lead or whatever over whoever they end up playing. I think it'll be interesting to see what this card does uh, if they get out in front and they look like they are going to win the NBA championship. Um, I do think there's still some value in this card, but I wouldn't be looking to buy into it because the market on it's been a little weird lately. So that's all I got for you guys today. Like, comment, sub, all the YouTube crap down below. And we will see you guys. I'll have a video out Tuesday, most likely. Another, NFL recap if anything crazy happens over the NFL weekend. I will pop on Tuesday and do a little quick market update to see how swingy prices have gotten from week 3. And then we will see you guys Wednesday night for the live stream. Once again, a little unsure of the time on that, but I will post a premiere for that, so you guys will be able to see well in advance what time I'm thinking for that. So we will catch you guys later. We'll see you on the next one, and peace.